Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What screams, "We are not going to last long," for couples. I was at a party one time and there was a marriage counselor there that had been working for 20-something years in couples counseling. I asked her what the number one sign was that the couple wasn't going to make it. Without hesitating, she said, if one person shows contempt for the other's feelings, it's over. Quote, "This is the answer, well, one of them." John Gottman calls contempt, defensiveness, being critical, and stonewalling the four horsemen of relationships. In other words, they are the signs that things are deeply not okay between the two people involved. Looking at past relationships, contempt is the big one. Once that entered the picture from either side, it was all downhill from there. Do y'all have any good examples of this? People are just giving textbook definitions or awful analogies and I'm genuinely curious. This is a really well documented one. Contempt is a dead giveaway. The moment you start sneering or using incredulous sarcasm, you should consider it to be a red alert. My wife and I are doing fine these days, but a few of our worst fights have contained contempt. Unfortunately, because we'd heard this guidance before, we realized we were in very dangerous territory and needed to take a really hard look at the root causes of what was pissing us off at each other. Anger can be a natural reaction, as long as it doesn't come with abuse. Contempt, however, is like black mold. Wife and I have been in that before, and done those hard looks at the root causes. Just a few times over our decade plus of marriage. And the key to getting through it for us is to remember they are your partner. Both parties should ultimately want to come through it for the better. It's not about being right, wrong. Most times when we have these hard talks, we both have realized that we've been unintentionally hurting the other in some fashion. But after talking about it, we can actually try to address those root causes and be mindful of them in our relationship going forward. It helped us both grow as individuals. And now that we've gone through the process a few times, we're both more open to communicating the small things to each other before they become big things. And getting to that point is where the relationship starts to feel really solid and grounded. Which is comforting in its own way too. Having a kid to fix their relationship. Ah yes. Like putting a dirty band-aid over an amputated leg. OMG, that's hilarious and so accurate. Being a kid with divorced parents is bad. But being a kid with parents that should be divorced but aren't is way worse. As a child of this never-ending situation, I wish I could shout this from the rooftop over and over. Just divorce and get it over with. The worst thing my parents have ever done, and continue to do, is stay together. If all disagreements end in arguments. Me and my partner disagree about a lot of stuff. But we can talk, discuss, and even sometimes agree with the other person's side. It'd be weird if you saw eye to eye on 100% of stuff too. Seeing eye to eye 100% of the time usually means that one person is just not voicing their opinion. Which is a recipe for disaster. Very true. This reminds me of a video Mark Manson posted where said he the following. Saying no is the fundamental basis of boundaries in relationships. If you want to have a healthy marriage, you need to be able to say no to each other. Tell your partner what you don't like or what your values are. And be willing to disappoint the other person and trust that they are going to stick with you. If you're never willing to disappoint your partner, then you never actually develop trust for them. You never actually know if they're going to stick with you when shit hits the fan. This is why couples that never fight eventually end up in a very toxic place. When he smashes her face in the cake at the wedding and she hates it. First one that came to mind. My cousin emptied out her bank account, her ex-husband's bank account, and borrowed from their relatives to find a $25,000 wedding. They broke up about a year later. They were together for over 10 years before this. They also posted pictures the morning after while in bed still. Another sign they're insecure about their relationship. Over-posting about how great it is all the time. Edit. I replied to the wrong person. Thanks for 2.6k likes though. Smiling face. Another sign they're insecure about their relationship. Over-posting about how great it is all the time. Yep. A childhood friend posts 5 to 6 photos of her and her husband every day. The lighting is always magazine perfect. There is good composition and depth of field. It must take an hour of every day. I just want to be like, girl, are you okay? I did the manly thing and asked my wife. She said no, she was spending hours doing makeup and didn't want to ruin it. So instead I gave her a tiny forkful to eat and it was great. If they have strongly conflicted plans for their future, either means they'll break up eventually or one or both of them will end up in an unhappy compromise. Yep. Do not get married if one of you wants kids and the other doesn't. It is a whole mess. I have an aunt and uncle who I love dearly. He wanted kids badly and she did not. They almost divorced over it, but eventually worked through it. Traveled the world, had beautiful properties, the whole 9 yards. Now she is in her 60s. And every time she drinks she talks about how she should have had kids and my uncle gets this look on his face that is difficult to describe. But it's not good. I know a couple of over 10 years who disagree about having kids or not. They'll be in their 30s soon. Hope one of them finally have an epiphany and fucking leaves already. Disagreement about having kids is a major incompatibility. People should clarify this before getting into a relationship. Social media addiction. If the person constantly needs to show the world they have and that they are just so happy together, and then gets mad that the other doesn't post as much. Social media addiction ruins relationships. There's a study about how couples that post a lot about their relationship are more insecure about their relationship than couples who do not post as often. It was a small study at Northwestern University, but I feel like we've all seen it. This was part of what ended our marriage. More about looking at what other couples and families near us were doing than my ex's own posting. So-and-so is in Italy for 5 weeks. Somebody has a beautiful, really expensive car. Someone else does date night every week even though they have kids. Know what isn't being posted? Discussions about awful debt, no money for college or retirement. Video of someone throwing up while they are sick. Admission that they are cheating because the marriage isn't working. I think it's a happy medium. Posting frequently about how great the relationship is seems like a red flag to me. But I've also known dudes, some women but not as common, that won't ever post their girlfriend but will follow tons of Insta models and thirst traps, and whenever they do post it has nothing to do with their girl. That's always sus IMO. Like, how the hell are you gonna follow a bunch of thirst traps and sexual accounts but not even give your partner a shout out once? Just screams cringy and disloyal.